Hey y'all, it's your favorite duck here, Derek the Duck, and I just got back from a trip to Vegas. Now, I go to Vegas all the time. There's a lot of like videos on YouTube or stories on Reddit and all kinds of stuff saying Vegas is over, it's gotten out of control, the tourists aren't coming, no one's there, it's completely empty. It's it's because everything's too expensive. People are talking about $25 water or a $30 margarita or something. They're showing their meals for just like two or three people, and it's like a $300 or $400 check. They're talking about the resort fees are out of control. A lot of people are complaining right now, and there is a little bit of truth to a lot of that. Okay, there is truth to it. I was just in Vegas. I was on Fremont Street, and it was one of the least busy I've ever seen it. There were like huge gaps, and it just wasn't as crowded as I remember from like my last time. But also, it is super, super hot right now. And I mean, I get some of that. And there's usually a dip in the summer months anyway. So, there is some truth to that, and Vegas prices are a little out of control. However, however, it doesn't have to be, okay? If you are a frugal person and you know what tricks to play and what games to play, you can kind of outsmart Vegas and end up not spending very much money at all. It's not as expensive as some people think it is, okay? And I think some of that is an unwillingness to be as kind of crazy as the duck. But I'm going to tell you how this weekend ended up I actually ended up with like a net profit. And I feel that it was more financially beneficial to me to go to Vegas than to just stay home in Texas. I think I did it right. I think I played the game correctly. Maybe other so-called hacks or tricks to play, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I did this weekend and why I thought Vegas is great, and it can be done on a shoestring budget the way I have, because I have no money. Or I'm not willing to pay any money. It's more what I want to say. I don't bring any money with me, and I'm not willing to pay any money, so therefore I have no money. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm cheap, and I've never been shy about that. If I can find a way to not pay for something, I will not pay for it. So let me explain a little bit about what I did. So I first went to Vegas from Texas, and I flew Frontier. I have the Frontier Go Wild Pass. I bought it at the beginning of the year, $299 for the whole year, right? That's an extremely good deal, in my opinion. I've already used it, at least 20 times so far this year. At least 20 times. And so each one of those flights has been free. If you were to divide that $300 that I spent into 20, you'll realize what I'm actually paying for each flight. It's very, very, very minimal. So I just go on, and I'm not going to go to Vegas if I can't fly for free there. Okay, I'm just not even gonna. I'm not even gonna consider it. So some weeks, and if you look, I mean, if you notice, I didn't do any videos in July from Vegas. Why? Because none of the flights were free. There was a lot of blackout dates. It seemed like it was busy there. There must have been conventions. I don't know what was going on there. But I couldn't find a free a free ticket. So if there are no free tickets, I'm not going, okay? But this weekend, the beginning of August, there it lit up. There were free tickets. So I'm going. I guess I'm going. And I actually don't really know until like the day before. So that's the thing about the whole Frontier Go Wild. You almost have to kind of be a wild person and be able to, and someone like me who can just drop things on a whim and just go to Vegas. I don't have anyone telling me what I can and cannot do. I'm not married or anything like that. I don't have to worry about the kids in school. None of that concerns me. It's when do I want to go? That's the duck life. So I was like, well, there's a free flight. I'm going. And so I went. So I caught my flight to Vegas. In order to get to the airport, my dad drove me, so I didn't have to pay for airport parking. And while we were driving, I saw that there were like storms. And I was like, oh gosh, I hope my flight isn't canceled. And then sure enough, when I got to the airport, the flight was delayed heavily. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? If this flight is canceled, then I can't go at all, So that would have been sad. But as it turns out, the storm sort of passed and I was able to board and I was on my way to Vegas. I was so excited about it. I'm flying to Vegas. I'm on Frontier. I do have the JP Morgan Ritz-Carlton card, which allows me to get free snacks and free goodies. Like they'll reimburse me up to like $300 a year on that card. So sometimes I'll treat myself on the plane. I treated myself to a little food. I got the Grizz pack and a little drink. I got a ginger ale, that's like champagne of the skies, it's so I like to put it and make it looks like champagne, so it kind of is. So I felt like I was in first class, and yeah, so it was pretty nice. The cool thing about Frontier, and they don't really advertise this very well, is you have to wait till exactly 3 hours before the flight departs. Then you go onto the app. They will open up the very first 2 rows, which are like first class. They really are. They're called the upfront rows, and they usually cost a $100 upgrade fee. But if they happen to be open and you're a Frontier Gold member, like I am since I fly Frontier so much, then you get those first seats if you just press the button. So all of a sudden I was in row 2A on the window, and they're larger seats. They have nice padding on the back that other seats don't. But it's something you can only do 3 hours prior to the flight. So I'm looking at the clock and I'll do it. So I was like in like first class, and this is all free. So the upgrade was free. I'm in the very front. The food is all going to be covered by the Ritz-Carlton card. The snacks, the drinks. So, I'm just having a time of my life. And so far, I haven't spent any money. The flight was free. The food is free. The ride to the airport was free. So I'm happy. Okay, this is the Vegas that I like. Okay, this is the Vegas that I remember. When I was a kid, I even have the most popular video on my YouTube channel. It's one of the oldest ones. I posted it almost 18 years ago. I can't believe I've been a YouTuber that long. But if you look at it, you'll see that we're driving down Las Vegas. We're driving down the Strip, and you can see all the advertisements everywhere. This was like older Vegas. This was 90s Vegas, and it had advertisements for like free dinner, buffet, free coffee everywhere, beers and steaks for like $1 for both. It was like that's loose slots everywhere you go. That's what I love. That's the Vegas I miss. I'm not interested in this whole, oh, go to the Bellagio, and pay resort fees, and they have 000, roulette and tight slots, and the horrible payouts on blackjack and stuff. I don't, none of that interests me the same way as fun old kind of little seedy Vegas used to be. That was, I was just a pig in heaven when I went there. So I try to recreate that for myself. I want that old Vegas feel. And I'm not going to let a little thing like a few prices here and there bother me, because I'm going to try to play the system and get it free anyway. If they're not going to give me, if it's not going to be obvious that Vegas can be free, cheap or free, then I'm going to make it cheap or free. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm getting on this flight. I'm looking out the window. I can see like a supercell storm brewing out there. And I'm just marveling at it. You know why? Because that's a free show. I'm getting a free show in flight. Whenever you can get a free show, enjoy it. It's hard to get free shows nowadays. And so I'm just marveling. I'm sipping my quote unquote champagne. I'm in first class. I'm seeing a light show. I'm having a blast. Attitude is everything. And then also there was this sunset, just like right before that, just the most gorgeous sunset I've ever seen. And I'm sitting there just marveling at it and thinking, wow, look at this. How lucky am I to see this sitting up here first class. Look at that beautiful sunset. It almost felt like it was all for me, and no charge, just priceless. So I love that kind of stuff. So I land in Vegas. Now I got in real late, like at around midnight, because of that flight delay. So unfortunately, I couldn't take the bus, and I love taking the bus. But I didn't know what I was going to do. So I checked the Uber, and apparently there aren't really that many tourists there. And sure enough, when I got to the Uber waiting area, there were very few people out there. So I was like, oh, maybe this time I'm not going to get a surge pricing. So it was only $20 to get to the Rio. I paid it. There was no really other option. I may have walked. I wasn't going to walk, but I wanted to see how bad it was, and it wasn't so bad. $20 is not so bad to get to the Rio. However, I have the Amex Platinum card, and if you know about that credit card, it gives me $15 worth of Uber credits every month. So that paid for most of that Uber trip. It gives you Uber credits every month. So I technically only paid $5. So now that I like. So I thought $5 was a good deal to get an Uber ride from the airport to the Rio, which is where I was staying. So I get to the Rio. Now, I'm not going to any hotel unless it's free, okay? And sure enough, because I had played a little, and not even that much, just a little. I mean, you've seen the videos on my YouTube. I film all of them. I don't spend that much money at the Rio at all. It's like a couple of $100 every few months. Like, I mean, I'm not that much at all. So, but I get the emails all the time, come back over here, and I know they need to attract people because the Rio is not really on the Strip. It's near the Strip, but you have to it's a little further away on this bridge that I've walked before, which I don't recommend that people do that, but I've done it. So yeah, I got an email. They were like, "Hey, come over here for 4 nights. Just come here. It's free. We'll comp you." I was like, okay. So Frontier is going to fly me for free, and the Rio is going to put me up for free. Done. That's for that weekend, what also think about what I'm not spending my money on. I'm not spending my money on water, doing the linens and towels, that sort of thing in the washing machine. I'm not housekeeping. I'm not cleaning anything because that's what, the housekeeping staff is there for. I'm not spending money on electricity because I've got the air condition blasting in Vegas rather than blasting it in Texas, I'm probably going to be saving some utilities money in that sense, and still having a really nice weekend, and watch their HBO and just relax. So even if I didn't do anything in Vegas, I was still probably saving a lot of money, and it was probably going to be more beneficial for me to just be in Vegas rather than be home. Then I opened the door and checked it out. All right, I am here at the Rio's Ipanema Tower. I'm so excited they upgraded me to the Ipanema. 424. Got my free water. Looks like I'm in a corner or at the very end or something. Let's try the key. Check it out. I'm so glad to be in the Ipanema section. It's the more, it's the, renovated section. Okay. So it's dark, but let me just set this down. It's always dark everywhere I go. Okay. All right, how do I turn on the lights here? Okay, I don't know. I could put each individual lamp I have to do. Oh, heaven help us all. Okay, well, there's one. And I guess there's this one. Okay. Let there be light. Look at this room, it's so nice. I am so happy that they put me here. Wow. And I've got air condition. Oh, heavens. Yes, please. 68 degrees. Let's see what kind of view we have. Oh, this is a nice view. Look at that. Got the Gold Coast, and then I've got that big Rio sort of fiesta. Their big neon sign. That's so cool. I like this. I like this view. This is a very nice view in a very nice room. I'm only concerned about... I don't think I have a mini fridge, do I? No, I don't. Well, you know what? I do have a mini fridge, so... Whoa. What's going on here? This unit isn't a fridge, but something better is in the works. So it will be a fridge one day? I'm not really sure what that means. I mean, it is cooling something. It's cool in here. So I don't know what it means when they're saying it's not a fridge. But I'm gonna use it like a fridge. Because the other, in the Masquerade building, they do have mini fridges, but I mean, they're old rooms and they're kind of gross. So, I'll deal with this for now. I was hoping for a mini fridge because I was gonna get groceries at Target or something like that. But, I'm happy with what I have. Look at this nice view. I can see the palms, not just palms. Again, there's that sign. Man, that is cool. The Gold Coast. I hate that place. Yeah. That big old TV, the huge TV. So nice. The TVs in the Masquerade building are teeny tiny. And I get to stay here for several days. And it's all comped. How cool is that? Look at this. I'm so happy. They did me very, very proud this weekend. in Vegas. And this bed looks so comfortable. I'm just gonna have the best time. Thank you, Rio. I love you. Oh, and here's the restroom. I forgot to show this. Oh, and this, they have these really nice, soaps and stuff. They're all weird over there in that other masquerade tower. Yeah, I've been in one of these rooms before. I've done a review. Usually I only come to these rooms when I come through the Hyatt program. They're globalist. Usually I'll get, but I have to pay for that. Well, I don't pay for it, but I use points for it when I get to. Ooh, they've made this nicer. Look at that. It has this rolling thing. Man, this is real nice. Looks like they're still doing upgrades to this place and renovations. Yeah, so I usually come here with the Hyatt points, and I get the free breakfast, and they always put the Hyatt people in the Ipanema room, but this time, it was a comped night from the hotel itself, and like I said, it's usually at the Masquerade Tower that they put me in. I'm so very happy that they put me here today. Wow, I can't wait to get into this bed and get a good night's sleep. So I loved that room. I couldn't believe it. They had upgraded me. Now, that upgrade in and of itself would have been like $70, right? So not only was the room free, but also the upgrade to the Ipanema Tower. I was so pleased that they did that. The room was stunning, completely renovated, beautiful. I knew that this is going to be a really nice several days there, just relaxing in that room. I didn't even have to go out and do anything. Just the room in and of itself was already enough, Of course, I'm thirsty at this point, and I need my water. I heard that Vegas water is weird and it may be recycled or something, so I don't like to drink out of the sink or anything like that. So I went downstairs. If you ever need water, just sit at the video poker bar, and just ask for water, and they'll give it to you. It's one of the most sure ways of getting water. Either that or go to the gym if it was open. They'll usually have like a container of water. So now if I want like a alcoholic beverage or something like that, then I have to be playing a little bit. And I usually do that at the slot machines, for a soda or anything like that. But if it's just water and not a bottled water, but just like, the water that they take from that little hose that they put it in, they'll give it to you in a cup. Just sit down, maybe hold a dollar as if you're about to put it into the machine. You don't even really have to play. Just the bartender will come. How are you doing? And you just say, I just some water. Then they're not gonna bother with you. Because some places I've been to, they're like, well, if you want a beer or something, then we need to see that you put in $20 and that you've been playing regularly. And I'm like, just give me my water, So I usually take the water as soon as they give it to me, and then I leave and I take that water up to my room. I like to have water after I brush my teeth, and when I take my pill and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, that's nice. I got my free water. So that's how I do that. It had been a long trip. I was ready to conk out and go to bed. And so I did. The next day, I like to just sit at the slot machines in the morning and press random buttons without putting actual money in there. And then I'll get a free coffee. Yes, please. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Is there anything better than drinking a nice free coffee in your room, looking out the window in Vegas in the morning? Free coffee? No. There's nothing better than that. I explored more of the hotel. I went to the gym. They have a Peloton there. I was just on that Peloton and just burning the calories, Who needs a gym membership here in Texas when you can go to Vegas and enjoy their gym for free? You know what I'm saying? Especially if they've comped you the room. So that was included, and I'm not gonna turn my nose up at that. That's a free gym membership for the 4 days that I'm there. Of course I'm gonna do it. Of course I'm gonna do it. So, you know, that's helping me with my weight loss. That's helping me keep fit. I love that. I love it, and they have a very nice gym with a beautiful view of the tower and the pool and that sort of thing. And so I went to the gym, and then I went to the pool. The pool opens at 9 a.m. Now, usually I'm up really early because I'm like on Texas time. So 9 a.m. there is already like 11 a.m. here. So I'm more than ready for that pool to open. And usually I'm the first one out there. I like to go to the adult section, and they have the hot tubs there. Now, it did get hot later in the day, but by 9 a.m. it wasn't that hot. And I mean, it was like 92 degrees or something outside. But I thought, I need to enjoy this hot tub a little bit. In fact, I think the pool itself was a little cold because, we're in the desert, and at night it does cool down. Not that much, but it's not as hot as it would be. But I wanted to get in a body of water of some sort. And so I got in the hot tub for a while. I turned on that massager. And you know what? I got a free massage, you know, from those bubbles, the jets on my back. It felt so good. I work really hard in Texas. Sometimes my back is killing me. And it's nice to just sit there in the hot tub and relax and get a free massage. So this is more free stuff that's just coming. There's nothing to complain about yet, or at all. I'm finding nothing to complain about. I'm happy as a clam. I exercised, and now I'm in the beautiful pool. I'm at the hot tub. I've got it all to myself because a lot of people don't know it's the pool's open yet. Later it's gonna get crazy, but for now it's just kind of my little moment. And then I leave from that, and I'm ready to go. Ready to go. The Rio even has free shows as well. There's this lounge in the middle of the casino, and I sat there and had some water or whatever, and watched. There was this guy. He had a guitar, and he was singing live music on the microphone, and most people didn't care. They were there talking to other people or out playing the machines, but I was sitting there and enjoying it. And I was like, wow, I got a free show. It's hard to get a free show these days. I'm not going to pay all this money to go see Kelly Clarkson's or whatever. I want to see something free. So that was free, and that was wonderful. It was better than Kelly Clarkson, in my opinion, because it was free. So I saw that, and then I was getting hungry. I do get hungry. So I'm hungry, but I don't want to spend any money, or very little. I think the most I'm going to spend is like $6 for a meal. It's not going to be like these people who are ridiculous, and they're coming back with these meals at Hell's Kitchen or whatever, and they have this receipt that shows it's $200 for pea soup or something. I don't know what people eat, but just look around. What's right next door to the Rio? A Walgreens. So I just hop, skip, and whatever over to Walgreens. It's right next door. So why not? I went in there to check it out. I got a sandwich. Well, I got two sandwiches, both turkey, both about $6 each. And then for a snack to go with it, I got like a Pringles, sour cream and onion, something like that. I thought that would go well with the sandwiches. I think each of those sandwiches was 400 calories each. And then like 150 calories per serving of the Pringles, and there were 6 servings. So overall, not too much. I myself generally eat around 1,200 calories a day, this year anyway. So I was like, well, this will do. This is really all I need. So I went and took him to the room. And of course, I needed a beer, well, at least a non-alcoholic beer. So what do? I do what I always do. I sit down at a slot machine and I pretend to play. Basically, if you see me, I'm putting in my player's card and I'm pressing buttons and putting in the pin and checking things, or I'll press the menu on the slot machine and just click help or pay lines and just like review what the pay tables are. You know, I'm anyone looking at me like a cocktail waitress sees that I am interacting with the machine in some way. I'm not just sitting there bored playing on my phone. It's me and the machine, you know. So it looks like I'm gambling in a sense, and that's what they really want to see, that you're gambling. And so I sit. I'm not going to sit at a machine just anywhere. I sit at one where I see that there's cocktail waitress activity, and usually you know, sometimes I'll station myself somewhere, and if there's no cocktail waitress, then I'm not even going to bother. So if I see one hovering near a bay of slot machines, I go to that one, and then they see me and they see that I'm, you know, pressing buttons, and they're like, "Oh, would you like anything?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take a Heineken Zero." And I don't know how many I had this weekend. I must have had like 20, you know, like something like that. 4 or 5 a day. And I love them. So, you know, they don't have any alcohol or anything, so we'll just bring it on, you know. And, you know, I tip a little, a few bucks, but it's a free drink. And that's pretty nice. You know, people are always complaining, $17 for a beer. You know, I'm trying to walk on the strip and they're charging me $22 for a beer. Yeah, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you just sit at the machine, press a button, and then they'll give it to you for free? I don't understand why people aren't playing the game. Is that too much work? Is that asking too much? Everyone knows that drinks are free in Vegas if you're playing the slots, you know. I think people are worried that they actually have to play. You don't have to play. You just have to look like you're playing, you know. So I don't, for the most part, I don't really play. I don't gamble that much anymore. I got my drinks. I took my beer to my room, and you know, what's better than that? I had. And there's my free drink. Is there anything more relaxing than just being in your room and at the Rio in Las Vegas? There's the Walgreens where I got my food. Is there anything more relaxing than just hanging out in your room with a free beer in Las Vegas? No, there is not. So yeah, I just got back from Walgreens. Look at this. So this is my entire meals for the whole day. As you can see, it was $17. So I think that's a pretty good deal for food for the whole day in Vegas. I think I'll start with this. Well, no, I'll start with this one. It looks very brunchy. 420 calories, turkey and cheese croissant sandwich. And this will be my snack with it, the Pringles. And I got this for free, so free beer downstairs. All I had to do was pretend to play. I put $10 in the machine and then I took it right back out. I'll use that again tomorrow for some more, or later on today for some more free drinks. And I'll put this one in the sort of semi-fridge, but it doesn't cool too much, so I'm going to try to get some ice as well and then eat it pretty quickly for an early dinner so it doesn't go bad or anything like that. But yeah, I think this is a really good value for eating in Vegas. This is really all I need. I don't require that many calories. I can do about 1,200 a day. This will be a lot of fun, and of course, this was free. Free is always the best. I also got that coffee for free, so feeling pretty good about my food and drink consumption for the day here. You know, I'm watching the baseball game, in my room on this huge TV that's like bigger than the one I have. And I'm like, I'm having the time of my life. I'm having the time of my life. Like, I went downstairs. I wanted some entertainment. You know, I wanted to see the casino. I do need to play a little. Now, I don't play very much, but I do have to please the gods of the Rio, okay? Because they aren't, every time I put my card in there, my player's card, and just play a little bit, then I'm not even kidding you. Like a few minutes later, I get the email that says, come back for another free 4 nights. I did a search for Rio on my Google email, and you just see that like every week around the same time, they keep offering me to just come over there. You know, they think, they never know when it's going to be the time when they trick me and take all my money. Of course, that never happens. Well, but at least we let them have that illusion that one day I might get weak and just give them all my money. But that's probably not going to happen. So I did play a little. I brought $40 in cash with me. That's all. That's all I brought. And I don't like using the ATMs over in Vegas. First of all, they charge a huge fee. And second of all, I've heard of people who their banks shut them down if they see that you keep pulling money in Vegas because they know what that means. You're soon about to be insolvent in some way, and the bank will have to pay the price for that. So I really don't want my bank seeing that I'm pulling money in Vegas. They don't like that. So I only brought $40 in cash. That's it. That's it. I also brought a few other bucks for like gratuities and that sort of thing, a few ones. But mostly, if I did bring two 20s, and I was like, well, I'll play a little bit just to please the gods of the Rio. And what happens? I end up winning almost $200 on the Buffalo machine. You can watch the video. I posted it a few days ago. It was incredible. It was wonderful. I mean, the bonuses kept coming up. I love Buffalo. You know, it's my favorite game. Either way, I knew that there was a possibility I might lose that $40, and I would have been okay with it because I get entertainment out of playing those games. And actually, I know the value of that money. I was actually paid to mow a lawn, and they gave me $40 to do it. And so in the back of my mind, I was like, this is, you know, I worked hard out there in the sun mowing that lawn in Texas for $40. Am I okay with losing that? You know, and when you view it that way, you're not just going to try to throw it away. And so I wanted to make sure I was going to have fun. It would have been at the game that I love the most, which is Buffalo. I wanted to have fun. I love Buffalo. I knew it would be entertaining. I like all the pretty lights and sounds and bells and whistles. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have some fun, get a free drink, and play some Buffalo. And like I said, I ended up winning $200. I was very, very happy about that. I was less happy when I found out that the Rio was charging me resort fees, and that ended up being $172 for those 3 nights. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the resort fees, and it's true. The resort fees are predatory and they're evil, and I hate them myself. So yes, they send me all these messages that they've comped me my room, but there's fine print that says you're going to have to pay resort fees. So that's another reason why I'm definitely going to use the gym every day, and I'm going to go to the pool, because I am paying for that part. But when you win $200, all of a sudden you've taken care of that, you know. So I was already profiting off of the little money that I had spent off of Vegas on this trip. And once I knew that I had gotten to that place, I pulled that money out of that slot machine and I just left. You know, I'm not going to keep going. A lot of people have the mentality that, oh, well, you can play a little more because that's the casino's money, you know. I mean, yeah, I put in $40 and walked out with 220 or something like that. No, that's not the casino's money. That's my money, you know. That's a horrible way of thinking it as a gambler. So I'm like, no, I'm leaving. That's my money, and that's their problem. And if they want it back, they're going to have to give me some more comp nights and try waiving those resort fees. So I was very, very happy about that. So as you can see, I'm already having a great time. It's a very Vegas-y kind of time. I'm getting my free shows. I'm getting my free drinks. I'm playing the slots. I'm being entertained. I'm eating well. I'm exercising. I'm in the pool, relaxing. This is all stuff I can't do at home. So I'm glad when I get the opportunity to go there. And I take advantage of every minute I can over there and doing those sorts of things. Another thing I like to do, which some people think is ridiculous, and other people, I don't know, maybe they think it's borderline unethical, but I don't, is I do something that I've mentioned before. I call it donation collections. So a lot of times when people play slot machines in Vegas, they they've put in $100 or so, 200, and then they keep spinning and spinning and spinning, and at the very end, all that's left is like 36 cents. And a lot of people can't be bothered to print the ticket and go and redeem that from the cashier for 36 cents or something. So they leave the money on the machine. And if you're walking by the machines, you can see them. You have to kind of look for it, but in the part where it says credit or cash, most of them will say 000, but every now and then you'll see something that says 35 cents, 36 cents, a dollar, $2. I found one that had $10 on it once, and it was hard to know that it had $10 on it. What it said, it was in the high limit room, and that's the best place to do donation collections. So I was in the high limit room, and I saw a machine. It was like a video poker or something, and it was one of those 777s, those old style ones, and it said 2 credits was left. But it was a high limit room, and each credit cost $5. I don't think they even realized that they had left $10 on that machine. I sat down, and I usually have like a voucher with like $10 on it, and I feed the machine that, and then I pull out all of it. So I usually walk around with like a $10 voucher. I look around for a machine that has some cash on it, 36 cents, 40 cents, something like that. And I put my money in, and then I pull it all out. I pull out my $10 and that money in there. Now, I would advise against, if sometimes you'll see that people leave vouchers, the paper ones, on the machines. I don't do that because that's something that, cameras can obviously tell. Oh, you're picking up money, and the money that the casino thinks is theirs. I don't know what it is. But the way I view it is that the person before me thought, I don't really care. I'm going to just donate this to the next person to play this game. And so what I'm doing is I'm picking up those donations. Be careful about it if you want to do that. You don't want the pit boss angry at you. Maybe they think it's their money. I don't really know. It's just a few cents. If it's a big problem for them, I don't know. Usually I don't do it very obviously or overzealously, and I go from one casino to the next and do it. It's just something I do for fun. It's not that much money. I make about $10 a day doing it, especially if I'm going to several different casinos. But I just do it for fun. It amuses me. I prefer that casinos pay me, not the other way around. Okay, that's just how I like to do it. So if you're over there in Vegas and you're strapped for cash, well, there's money out there on the slot machines. It's just waiting for you. It's being donated to you, and if you're smart about it and you're not obnoxious about it or anything, and someone left a few cents on a machine, just pull it out. It's yours. That's the way I view it anyway. But like I said, be careful. I don't know how strict some places are, and it can be seen as gray area sort of thing. But I view it in my favor. But it's something I do a lot. So I collect my donations. I collect my free beers. Like I said, when I'm in the casino, I'm there for them to give me things, never the other way around. The next day, I want to eat some more. I'm hungry. Well, what do my wandering eyes see from the window? But there's a Denny's nearby, and I thought, I'd go check that out. I like Denny's. I know that they have a special, one of the slams, not like the Grand Slam, but one of the breakfast slams is only $6. And $6 is the same amount of money as it costs for refrigerated sandwich at Walgreens. So why not, instead of that, get a hot meal? So I went to Denny's. I sat down. It was really early, but the sun really hadn't come out. That's the only time I can go out, because when the sun is out, I can't go out. I'm very vampirical in that sense. It's so hot over there. So, but luckily for me, I'm in a different time zone. So if it was like 4 in the morning and I just, walked across the street, I would not recommend that people walk around at 4 in the morning in Vegas. Usually it's best if you have someone else there with you, but sometimes I don't have much sense, but I'm as careful as I can be. So I did walk across the street over to Denny's at 4 in the morning. I can see on the big sign that even at 4 in the morning, it's approaching 90 degrees outside. So it's hot. But like I said, that's the only time I can go out. I'm hungry, but I don't want to spend my money at like the hotel's restaurants, because I know that that's going to be an upcharge. That's going to be expensive. If I ever do eat breakfast at the Rio, that's when I'm staying there on a Hyatt awards night, because I'm a globalist with Hyatt, and so I get the Hyatt breakfast for free. That's the only way I'm going to eat breakfast at the Rio. So since I wasn't on a Hyatt stay, I was on a casino comp, I said, well, I'll just go to Denny's. So I went to Denny's and had an amazing mini Grand Slam, or whatever it was called. The egg was delicious. The bacon, they gave me this big, the thing with gravy. Delicious. It was delicious, and it was only $6. So I'm willing to pay for that. And I knew that that would tide me over until about dinner. So for dinner, I saw that the Rio has a restaurant called El Burro Borracho, the drunk mule in Spanish. And it's a Guy Fieri restaurant, and but they do have a happy hour only from 4 to 5. And I saw on their menu that they have a $6 taco. And I'm like, well, I can pay for that. That's something I'm willing to pay for. So I went in there at about at exactly 4, and I knew it was a very short happy hour, because usually the prices go way up over, especially if you're eating anywhere in the hotel. So I got the taco, but also I went ahead and got the chips and dip, chips and salsa. So my total for there was $11 at the Burro Borracho. And, if you count the other $6 that I paid at Denny's or thereabout, so again, I was paying about $17 for the day in food, the way I had done the previous day at Walgreens. So $17 for food, that I'm on board with. If it's less than $20 a day for all your meals, to me, you're doing it right. But, people going there and spending $200 for each time they sit down, they're not looking, they're not trying to see, maybe there's a convenience store, or maybe there's happy hour specials. They're just eating whenever they want to. You have to put some thought into this, and you have to look around and look for specials and that sort of thing. It's not going to be, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be easy, but it is possible to dine for a whole day on less than $20. Absolutely it is. So I had wonderful meals, and I had to tell you that Burro Borracho taco was amazing. It wasn't the biggest taco in the world, but it was a taco for $6, and it was very, very good. And the chips and salsa, I was just eating them the whole hour. I closed the bar down. It actually, they started closing the door at 5 because they reopened later for dinner. But yeah, and they were sitting there waiting for me to order a beer or something, and I said, nope, just water, because I'm thinking, why would I pay for a beer in here when I can just go to that buffalo slot machine not 2 yards away in the casino, pretend to play, and get a free beer out there. You know, don't do it. Just get water. Go out there and get your free beer after you've eaten. Come on. So have a little willpower. I do. So that's exactly what I did, and yeah, it was pretty amazing. Then I wanted to go and explore. You know, it was nighttime. The temperature's going a little bit down. I said, I'm gonna go to Fremont Street. It had been a while since I'd been to Fremont Street. I rode the bus. I rode the bus. I love the bus. So there's an app. It's called RTC. Okay, some kind of transit, Nevada something. I don't know, regional, and I I sold my car the other day, the little blue one, and I was able to get the seller, I mean the buyer, to make the deal, because I sold it for more than it was worth. But I said, I'll make it worth your while. You can pay me in Visa gift cards, because I'm also part of the credit card churning world. So a lot of times, me and my friends and I will end up with Visa gift cards and weird things like that. So one cool thing you can do is, like with your Chick-fil-A app or your Uber account or Amazon account, you can load those accounts with Visa gift cards, MasterCard gift cards that maybe you get from Flues, different little churning things that we do with credit cards. So I prepay that RTC app with Visa gift cards, which are almost like cash, maybe a little less liquid, but they're like cash. I can use that whenever I'm in Vegas, which is often, and from there, it only costs $5 for 24 hours of rides on the buses, and that includes the Deuce bus, which is that big one that goes up and down the strip. Now, I remember in my day, only a few years ago, the Deuce was only $2. That's why it's called the Deuce. And then I remembered a few years later, it was like, what? Now it's 4? Now I think it's like 8. So it's gotten ridiculous. But why are people paying $8 when they can just load the app with their Visa gift card and then press the button that says, it says, are you a resident? And if you're a resident, it's only 5. It's more if you're not. But why would you say that you aren't? They're not going to check your residency when you're on the bus. You know, just say you're a resident, click the button. It's $5 for 24 hours. That is an amazing deal. So you can go anywhere. So, you know, I catch it right over there at the Rio, right across the street. And the bus goes all the way and gets me to the Strip. Once I'm on the Strip, usually like around the Link or the Cromwell, or yeah, it goes to like in between the Link and Harrah's. From there, I just catch the Deuce. I can go all the way to that one end to go enjoy Excalibur, Luxor, all my favorite dives over there. Or I can keep going the other direction to downtown, which is super cool that the Deuce will go all the way over there. So that's what I did. I said, you know, take me all the way to Fremont Street. And it's wonderful. I love the Deuce. The Deuce is better than the regular buses. I'll tell you why. Because they actually have these air condition controls, like on an airplane, right over the seat. And I noticed that a lot of people don't even really notice them, because it's a little bizarre that you're on a city bus in a sense and you have air control knobs like on an airplane. And since no one else was using them, I pointed all 4 of them on me. Because it's hot out there, even at night. And it was so relaxing to just get full air condition while you're sitting there and watching all the big neon lights of the city go by. And I was having a great time. Cost nothing. You know, you don't need to be spending money on Ubers or limousines to get from one place to another. It's just on the bus. It's $5 for a whole day. You can take an unlimited amount of trips. What's wrong with you? Do it that way. Do the bus. Now, I've heard in the past that the bus may not be the most safe place in the entire world, but I've never had problems with it, as long as I'm pretty vigilant and everything like that. So just be careful, that sort of thing. But yeah, it was fine for me. So I went down there and then I made a video. You can watch it. I did a live stream of the Fremont experience. And that is an experience in and of itself. I didn't have to spend any money. All I did was I went to the Grand or the D or whatever one it was, the first one that you see. And I walked in and I got myself a free beer and by pretending to play a machine. And then after I'd, relaxed with my beer after my bus ride, I walked the Fremont Street, and that is an experience. There's free shows, there's magicians, there's dancers, there's acrobats, there's this Katy Perry show that they do on the ceiling. Fremont Street's changed a lot since I used to frequent it, but now it's covered with this giant LED screen. But it's pretty cool to just walk around, walk around for an hour down there. That was entertainment. I was entertained, and it cost me nothing. And I just went right back over there to the bus stop and went all the way back and did the same thing. And I was back at the Rio in no time. And, I was exhausted. And I got in that bed, which is so comfortable. I closed my eyes, but I kept the curtains kind of open, the sheer parts, and I could, while I was sleeping, just the glittering lights of Vegas were like dancing in my eyelids in some way, probably giving me crazy dreams, but that's Vegas for you. The next day, well, it's probably time to check out. And I was hungry because all I'd had was, that taquito the night before. But I knew I was going to the airport. And what do you get at the airport? The Capital One Lounge. I used to go to the Centurion, but it's such a nightmare there. It's always so over capacity, and the food is kind of boring there. I love the Capital One place. It's so great. I go right in. There's no lines or anything, at least not for me, because I go at the right time. If you're going to go there at like 3 o'clock on a, Sunday afternoon, what are you thinking? Of course, you're going to have trouble getting in. But if you go on a weird time like I do, then it's going to be fine. So I go in there. It's so nice. They have great restrooms. Each one has its own private restroom. I love that. I'm always fighting with people. There's always a line to get into the restrooms at the Centurion. I can't even talk about it. It's ridiculous. But it's nice and clean, and you can have any drink you want at any time at the Capital One Lounge. Freaking Centurion, they're like, well, we can only do breakfast drinks, so mimosas only, or a Bloody Mary. And I'm like, no, I'm a world traveler. I'm in a different time zone. I want to drink what I want to drink. If I want an old fashioned at 8 in the morning, I don't, and I don't. I'm just saying, you can do that at the Capital One Lounge if you want to. So they don't have any restrictions on that. Thank the Lord. So I go in there, want a little Bailey's in my coffee. It takes the edge off. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And the food is spectacular. It's so delicious. I love the morning food there. I take my little tray and I just get it all. I get it all. I love the little artisan egg thing, and I really love that muffin thing, that blueberry thing. I don't know what all these things are called. I don't sit around and ask and read the little description. I don't have time for that. I'm there to eat. I only have 3 hours because you're allowed 3 hours the way you are at Centurion. So I'm there exactly 3 hours before my flight. I don't care. I'm there. I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. And yeah, so I'm there. I'm enjoying all of his food, getting free drinks, just relaxing. And another thing that makes the Capital One Lounge unique is that they give you a goodie bag on the way out, a little snacks and treats to have on the flight. Because, then I'm going to be on my Frontier flight for, 2.5 hours going back to Texas. I'm going to want some food on there, and I don't want to have to pay again with that Ritz-Carlton card like I did last time. So why even bother with that when they give you a goodie bag? So, and you can fill it with all kinds of stuff. And so, I got a to-go sandwich. I got one of those waters that I like, waters in a carton, and, some pretzels, just all kinds of stuff. And left and caught my flight, my free flight home. And yeah, I was just having a great time. And I'm on the flight home, and this time I wasn't able. It was kind of a full flight, so I wasn't able to get the very front row, but I was in a really nice exit row, which is fine. Children are not allowed in there, so that way you don't hear screaming babies or anything like that in the exit row. So I love that. Yeah, it's pretty great. There was the nicest lady sitting next to me, and on the flight, and we were just talking about Vegas and this and that. And when the flight attendant walked by, asked if we wanted any drinks, I was like, oh no, I'm really poor. And the lady I was talking to was like, get whatever you want. And she treated me, and so I had a little wine. I'm flying Frontier, and that was just so nice. Having the best time of my life, living my best life.
Yes, you are.
Yes. Cheers, Vegas Frontier. What? Oh, that's another thing. People out there are nice. People love Vegas. People will give you things for free, because Vegas is a place of, it can be a place of joy, especially if you try to put that energy out there and you're nice to people too. And so that was my trip. Like I said, I feel like overall I profited either in the money I won from Buffalo or just the money I saved by not spending money at home. Look at all the free food I got, at least at the Capital One. Look at all the free drinks I had. I didn't spend any money on any drinks. And it was just flowing so freely. It was so nice. And this trip had a real sense of the Vegas that I love, the one that I remember, the one that so many people long for, the one where they're giving you all these free treats and free goodies all the time, these freebies. I know it's hard. I know you have to play the game a little bit, but if you do it, if you look for deals, maybe take the bus, take the Deuce or something like that, or you go for those free flights. You play a little to get a free comped hotel. If you do all of those things, I know it's asking a lot, but if you make it a habit, then I think you too can also have a wonderful time in Vegas, and you'll pay very, very little, and you'll still come back home thinking, wow, I had a first class trip and it was amazing, because Vegas is always amazing. So no, I don't believe that Vegas is over, or that the world is upside down or anything like that. Vegas is back, baby, and so is the duck, and I cannot wait to go back. Look what happened. And then as soon as I got back, what did I do? I got an email from Resorts World, free. Resorts World is offering me comped nights later in August and waiving the resort fee. Man, that's something that I never thought I would hear. Now they're starting to get the hint that people really are tired of those resort fees and everything like that. So yeah, I already went in and clicked on it, and I'm going back to Vegas in a few weeks. And I saw that Frontier is gonna be free it's not a blackout date. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna fly for free. I'm gonna stay at Resorts World for free. No resort fees, but I'm still gonna be enjoying the hot tubs and all that. So, I can't get enough of this. How do you not love Vegas? Anyway, thank you so much for listening to my story. Go visit Vegas. It's alive and well. And if you want to hear more about my travels and my money adventures and all the crazy things that the duck does. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.